Hello, everyone. Happy, amazing Monday evening. This is Dr. Sharon, educator, author, entrepreneur, and speaker. I am so excited, and I just first have to say we had a change in our guests. Our scheduled guest had an emergency and she could not be with us, but she will come back on another episode of the Spotlight. But no worries. I have a dynamic guest for us this evening. But before we get started, I just want to say thank you to our official sponsor, James Adele Custom Clothier, where they are just absolutely awesome custom and tailoring clothes to your need. And this is for men and women. And they are so affordable, so you have to check them out. I'll give that information a little later. So I would like to welcome to the Spotlight, Cara, I wanted to say, I've been working with that, I know, right? Cara Davis, she goes by Cara D. She's an attorney by day, but she's a podcaster, she's an event host, and she is a blogger. Welcome so much, and thank you so much for being a guest.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And so this is really the epitome of staying ready so you don't have to get ready.
Hello.
So I appreciate you being ready so that you hopped on this video for us. But I'm so excited. This is the Grind Entrepreneur Network Spotlight, where we spotlight wonderful entrepreneurs, and I specifically love highlighting those parallel or dualpreneurs. And tonight we have a fantastic one. As I said, she's an attorney by day, but she does a whole lot of things at night. So I'm just going to ask you, who is Cara D? Tell us who you are.
Oh, man. So I hate to say, that I am an attorney, because being an attorney is what I do. It's not who I am. So Cara D is a creative through and through. And I think I'm a light to those who come near me. I'm magnetic. And most of my friends have told me that. So I do everything in my power to curate experiences, whether it be via my blog when I'm writing. I want you to literally feel my words. I want you to taste what I'm saying. I want you to hear the sounds. On my podcast, I'm vulnerable. I want you to feel where I'm coming from. So if you have some sort of issue that you just don't feel comfortable talking about, I want to be your voice. So you're like, okay, if Cara can talk about that, I can talk about that too. I think in being an attorney, people put you into a box and you're supposed to look a certain way. You're supposed to talk a certain way and be a certain way. And being a creative on top of being an analytical person gives me so much latitude to just literally be myself in all of these different avenues. So I'm literally one of a kind. And I think that's me in a nutshell. I'm just super transparent. That is my goal, is to be 100% real and transparent with people so that they can have the courage to do the same.
That is awesome. And I know that you are originally from South Georgia,
yes,
but now you're currently residing in Dallas, Texas.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Very awesome. So let's start with your podcast. So tell us a little bit about what you're podcasting, when does it air, and all of that good stuff.
Okay, so my podcast is called Millennial Love. And Millennial Love is three people. So it's me, Michelle, and Justin. We're all three millennials. We're actually all I'm 30, Michelle's also 30, and Justin is 33. Or 32. Don't quote me on that. He's early 30s. And it airs every Sunday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And it's on all podcast platforms. So iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, Stitcher, all of those things. And we essentially give the Black millennial perspective to pretty much every topic. So we talk about things from colorism in the Black community to therapy and why it's necessary. Michelle is a therapist, so we talk about the importance of therapy. We talk about how food has impacted us being from the South. We talk about sex. We talk about dating and relationships. We talk about social media. We talk about all of these things that from a millennial perspective, because I think our perspective is not only unique because we grew up without social media. And then once we became, teenagers and adults, then we moved towards social media and just the technology age period. And so we had the best of both worlds. So we can relate differently than I think our parents can, and also differently than the kids that are now. So our most recent topic that we just posted yesterday, we actually opened up a podcast network called Millennial Love Network. And so we want to have other podcasts under our network that also embody the Black millennial perspective. And so we just added another podcast called Elbow Grease Podcast, which is essentially with Tavisha, this girl named Tavisha, who is a personal trainer and a professional boxer. And so she talks about the importance between the intersection of mind, body, and soul as it relates to your fitness journey. And especially it's geared towards Black women. And so that's millennial love in a nutshell. We want all generations to be able to experience what Black millennials go through on a day-to-day basis.
You know, I really love the fact that you all are collaborating with the network, because I really think that's where a lot of entrepreneurs miss the mark. You know, they are fearful of collaborating. I think they talk a good game, but the action behind it sometimes is lacking. So I really love the fact that you are collaborating with other similar podcasters to form this network. I think that's a brilliant idea. So very good with that. And so how long have you all been podcasting?
So our podcast started January 23rd, I believe, of this year. So it's been a little over 10 months since we've been podcasting. We post every Sunday, so it's every week. And we are now up to over 100,000 listens and downloads already. And we have not even pushed a year yet. So I'm just thankful that people want to listen to what we're talking about, and are interested. I mean, we get so many people on social media asking us about topics or just corresponding with us and talking with us about the episodes and how we're dropping jewels for them and how they are learning from us and they're being more vulnerable. So, yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy to me that somebody wants to listen to what I'm talking about, to be honest.
I love that. And so let's move on to your event hosting. Oh my goodness. And then we're going to go to your blog, because I think that's your newest venture.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about your event hosting. What types of events do you host?
So that's kind of a new thing for me as well. I'm a very outgoing person. So literally I moved to Dallas 2 years ago. I'm the type of person that literally goes to an event by myself. I'll go by myself. I will meet people, go to brunch. And so I'm a networker, like, at heart. And so I've gotten to the point where I just meet people, and I've been asked to do several events. So I'll just honestly, I've been doing very small things. My uncle actually has a foundation out in the DC area that he wants me to host, like a women's event for girls. And so that's kind of the types of things I want to host, and that I am getting into hosting. But that too is kind of it's stemming from the podcast. Like, all of these ventures are stemming from the podcast, including the blog. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. So I was going to say, if you host the one in the DC area, you definitely have to let me know. I'm here in the DC area.
Oh, yay. Okay.
Yeah. So I would love that. So you definitely got to keep me posted with that.
Yeah, I definitely will.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now let's move into the blog. I actually had an opportunity to very briefly look at the blog. Just very exciting. So tell us about this blog.
So the blog is actually my passion project. The podcast is too, but the blog is I would say my autobiography of sorts, because I've been wanting to do a blog for a while, but I never knew if I would have enough time, or I knew it would be expensive to get a website, because I mean, it's not cheap to get a really good website. And so it took me about 2 years in the making to really actually be like, okay, I'm going to sit and do this blog. And so the blog is really a compilation of things that I'm okay with sharing with the world. And so I launched a few weeks ago. And so I've posted, I think, 4 posts as of now. And 3 of the 4 are extremely personal. The first post that I posted, my baby sister was in a domestic violence situation. And so I talked about her situation and how to, if you know someone who's in a domestic violence situation, to understand some of the signs, because it may not be as upfront. Like they may not have a black eye as in the movies. You know what I'm saying? They may not look a certain way. You have to, just know you're the person that you're dealing with, and kind of pick up on those cues. And so a lot of that was triggering for some people, but for me, it was cathartic to be able to talk about it and give it to the world, to see what they would do with that. And so that I think is, in a nutshell, what my goal for the blog is for it to literally, for me to lay out my life before you, and for you to be able to be as vulnerable back if you want to. And so my most recent post was about my grandfather, who passed away from cancer in 2013. And it was kind of like a diary entry, and somewhat of a tribute to him, because of what he brought to my life, and how he was, and what he taught me. And so it's really just my soul opening up to the world. And it's one of those things where it's like, I'm getting really good numbers, but even if I didn't, I would be okay with that, because it's more for me personally to just release. And if y'all like to read it, that's amazing, and I'm thankful. But if not, I read it. I keep going back and reading my blog posts and like tearing up, because it's so powerful for me to have written that. So I think at some point I'm going to start posting some pictures and stuff. That was my original plan, was like, I take all the pictures in the world. For my 30th birthday, which was in September, I went like 4 or 5 different trips. I had like all these birthday parties. And so I have all these pictures to post. And so that was my goal. I was like, I'm gonna just post all these pictures and look fly. And then I started writing, and I was like, no, this is really what I want to do. I want to pour out my soul. And if y'all, read it, that's great. So
that is so awesome. And so the one question that I always get, and I'm going to pose it to you, how do you find the time to do all of these things? I just got that question earlier. Someone said, when do you sleep? And I get it, because I'm listening to you. You're practicing law. You're doing the podcast. You are blogging. You're doing event hosting. So tell me about the structure of your day, or how do you get it all in?
Yeah, so that is a really good question. I'm a scheduler. I'm not as rigid as I used to be. I used to be a really big, and I need to probably get back into using a planner. But I just schedule things. And honestly, I have blocks of time for things. So we record for the podcast on Tuesday nights. And so I know that Tuesday nights are my podcast day. So I can't schedule anything on Tuesday nights unless it's really late. And even then, sometimes we record and we kind of just talk for 3 hours, and then we record. So then I don't, my whole Tuesday's gone. So I pretty much block that day off. And I make it a point to schedule, like work. I know I'm going to be there between 8:30 and probably 6:30. So once I leave work, I usually don't do any other work-related things after that. I try to get everything done. Now, there are some exceptions to that rule, but I try to get everything done within that work day, period. And so then whatever extra time I have afterwards, I use that extra time toward whatever my other ventures are. So I didn't mention this before, I also do Snapchat filters and other like really small graphic design things. So I kind of have a side hustle with that, but I haven't been doing it as much as I was like probably 6 months ago. But I just spend time kind of like after work between like 7 and 11 p.m. That's when I kind of do my most. The weekends, I literally try to spend at least a Friday or a Saturday twice a month doing absolutely nothing, like not touching anything, not picking up anything, because I have to recharge and kind of get myself back in that like space that I need to be in. But honestly, it's just all about using your post-work hours, to be honest. And you just have to be productive during that time. That's really the only way to put it. And use your weekends pretty wisely too.
Yep, that's exactly right. And I'm an early riser, so I'm up at 3 a.m. to do.
Oh my God. I wish.
but I go to bed early as well. So, but exactly, you do have to time block. That's really the only way you're going to make sure you get it in. Awesome. So with the grind, I really work with aspiring entrepreneurs, those who are working a full 9 to 5, and specifically educator entrepreneurs, but really any parallelpreneur. What would be your advice? Because you just recently started your podcast about a year ago. You're just starting your blog and you're just starting your event host. What advice would you give to someone who's working that 9 to 5, don't, really have any intentions of leaving their 9 to 5, but have this burning passion to start out and do something on their own? What would be your advice?
I think my biggest piece of advice to somebody who wants to start something is to literally just start. I think that is a lot of the issues that people have, because they're like, oh my God, how are you doing all this stuff? And I'm like, I'm just doing it. Like, I just woke up one day and I was like, you know what? I want to do a podcast, talk to a friend. And I was like, hey, you want to do it with me? He was like, yeah, cool. I was like, we need a third person. Like, we literally just did it. And we put the work in up front. So now all we got to do is record and coast. It's literally about actually doing it. You can talk about it, you can plan. And I am a proponent of planning. I am a huge proponent of planning, because if you go into something premature and you don't know what you're going to do once something pops off or once an issue occurs, then you're going to be SOL. So I'm a huge proponent of planning, but don't plan yourself into the ground. Like, you don't need to plan for 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, at some point you're going to have to just step off the cliff and just do it. And then you'll make mistakes and you'll fix them. And then you'll kind of tweak your processes and it'll get better as time goes on. Trust me, our first 5 or 6 podcasts sounded horrible. I mean, we thought they sounded great, but in retrospect, we're like, God, what were we saying? We're dumb. Like, we sound dumb. Like, the recording equipment was trash, whatever. And now we've got, we're almost a year in and it sounds a lot more professional. And so we made a lot of mistakes. We was fighting a lot. And so now, it's smoother, but we started. So just take the first step to start. If you want to start a podcast, set up your email on Gmail. That's the first step. Then get your SoundCloud account. Then set up your iTunes, take some pictures, figure out your outline, and record your first episode and put it out. Just put it out and continue to do that. If you want, to start your blog, contact somebody to set up your website. Go ahead and set it all up, and then just press enter whenever it's done. And let it be. Don't look at your phone. Just let it, just let it go. So that's my biggest advice to anybody. Because whenever I want to do something, like, I'm like, I want to make Snapchat filters. Let me research it. And I researched it, and then I literally just started making them. Like, there's no, for me, it is about planning, but there's no block to me starting. I just start. And I think that that's something that a lot of people just don't do.
Wow. And so where do you see yourself, your businesses, your career? Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
Millennials hate this question, by the way. I just want to let you know. Because we're like, I don't know. I would love to see myself being a full-time entrepreneur, whatever that means to me at the time. I ultimately do not want to be in a law firm. Could I practice law on the side? Maybe. But being a lawyer, traditional, like, if you think of a traditional lawyer, that is not me. Looks-wise, personality-wise, just the way I work. It's just difficult for me to be confined in certain parameters, just generally. And so I definitely see myself being an entrepreneur, working for myself, being my own boss, and being able to empower other Black women, because that's extremely important to me. I don't think Black women are vulnerable enough. And I think that is one of my biggest goals. That's probably not answering your question, but I'm sorry, I go off on tangents. But yeah, I definitely want to be an entrepreneur. By the time I'm 40, I will not be working for anyone. Yes.
Wow. That's wonderful. I don't know why you hate that question, because that's a brilliant response. You have to have that vision vision to look ahead so that you can get what you want. And that's absolutely awesome. Now, do you see in your 100% entrepreneurship, do you see you doing what you're doing now, or do you see something else entrepreneurial down the line?
I see myself doing what I'm doing now. I don't necessarily know if my podcast will last 10 years, but I mean, I would hope so, that it would evolve. But yeah, I definitely see myself still doing the blog. Event hosting will pick up for sure. To be honest, I'm open to anything else that comes my way. I am all about seizing opportunities and networking with people. And, if somebody says, hey, I think you'll be good in PR, I'm not going to say no. You know what I'm saying? I would definitely pursue those things. So yes and no is my answer to that. That was such a lawyer answer.
Right.
Yes and or no.
I do. So, Cara, please share with the viewers, with the listeners, with those of you who will be joining the recording, where can they connect with you? Where can they listen to your podcast? Where can they find your blog? Where can they contact you if they want you to host their event?
Oh, great. So, first of all, my blog, you can find my blog at www.thecarad, that's CARAD as in Davis.com. There, if you want me to host your event, I have a tab right on the side that says hosting inquiries. You can click there and send me an email. My email address is heyboo, HEAHEYBOO at thecarad.com if you want to just say hey. Also, if you want to check out my podcast, there is a link to the podcast on my website. If you go to media, click on media and then click on podcast. Or if you have an iPhone, you can go to iTunes and look up Millennial Love. That is MILLENNIAL LOV3, because people do not know how to spell millennial. They always either do one L, one N. So just always spell it out. You can find Millennial Love on all social media networks, and it's at Millennial Love, so MILLENNIALLOV3. And you can find me, Cara D, on all social media platforms at I am the Cara D. Yeah.
You have been a delight.
Thank you.
On this show. I really enjoyed you, and I'm definitely going to check out your podcast. I'm going to check out your blog and everything. And if you come to the Washington, D.C. area, definitely reach out to me, because I will. Absolutely. Guys, this is Dr. Sharon, educator, author, entrepreneur, and speaker, and host of the Grind Entrepreneur Network Spotlight. I have been joined today by my guest, Cara D, and she is a podcaster, a blogger, a event host, and just a downright fun millennial, let me tell you. So I have enjoyed you so much.
Thank you. I enjoyed it too. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And guys, again, I would like to thank my official sponsor, James Adele Custom Clothier. You can find him on Facebook and Instagram at James Adele CC. So definitely go find him. You will be glad that you did. So guys, have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Bye.